Yo, what's going on, YouTube? And welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and we have to take a look today at the Ottawa Senators. The Ottawa Senators are starting to transition in their rebuild. This was a team that was a full-on seller every year, trading out Erik Karlsson, Mark Stone, Gambrell, Pajot, Mike Hoffman. They moved on from everybody. So what is the state of this organization right now? So we're going to go over that today. So there's a lot of trade rumors to the Ottawa Senators, and we're going to go over some of them today. We're going to go over some potential contract extensions as well. So the first one is exactly that, contract talk. So Frank Saravelli, word is the Senators offered Nick Paul a 3-year, $6 million deal, which is $2 million annual average value. Not enough to get it done. Victor Mete could be available as he'll be due for arbitration, and it doesn't sound like things are going well there. And what's interesting here, this is from NHL Trade Rumors. The Ottawa Senators are receiving multiple trade calls, and I wonder if it's some of these guys that are free agents this summer. And there's a couple here for the Senators that are actually pretty good. There's some pretty good players, maybe not a Gambrell, Pajot, or Mike Hoffman, but depth pieces that I think the Senators could get actually decent value for. So the first one we're going to go over here is Chris Tierney. Chris Tierney is 27 years old, making $3.5 million. He was a big part of that Erik Karlsson trade. Things never really panned out. He seems more like he kind of is a Gambrell Pajot player, maybe a third liner, and I think that's doing a disservice to Pajot. He's not as good as Pajot, but he's a third line guy. Maybe even a fourth line guy at this point. Just Chris Tierney has not really been that good, unfortunately. So again, as a depth center for a team, maybe like the Colorado Avalanche as just a depth piece, if Kadri gets suspended again, if the Minnesota Wild want to go that direction, if they don't want to sell out trading first round picks and Rossi and Boldy and all those guys, maybe they pick up a Tierney who is going to be a middle round draft pick. This one's interesting, and that's Zach Sanford. So Zach Sanford won a Stanley Cup back in 2019 with the St. Louis Blues. Even before that, I remember him playing with the Hershey Bears for a little while with the Washington Capitals organization. Actually, that might have been after his run with the Blues. He signed with the Caps, ended up playing in Hershey for a little bit. And Sanford was pretty good. I like Zach Sanford. He's a gritty guy. Again, 27 years old, making $2 million. It's a 1-year deal, so that deal ends this summer. I think Sanford could definitely be a player as well. Nick Paul, we already mentioned him a little bit. He's 26 years old, and he is an unrestricted free agent. So that's one to keep an eye on. But I'm going to say, again, kind of a better version of Tierney. He's more of a power forward. He has a bigger frame. So Nicholas Paul could definitely be a guy to look at. And then the next two names are interesting because these are guys that you were hoping we're going to see a little bit more from when they came in, and it just hasn't worked out. And they are Dylan Gambrell and Adam Gaudette. Dylan Gambrell, again, another guy from that Sharks team. I think he was a part of, I'm trying to remember what trade that was. Was it the Burrows trade? No, maybe not. That was with the Canucks and the Sharks. I don't remember. Let me know in the comments. How did they get Dylan Gambrell? I'm trying to remember now. Adam Gaudette was a piece they got from the Chicago Blackhawks. And both of those guys are restricted free agents, and they're both 25 years old. So that is something to look at. As well as Adam Gaudette is waiver eligible. So he was he was acquired on waivers. Right. So they got it from the Blackhawks on waivers. And Dylan Gambrell, they're saying it was a trade. Hold on. Say now we got to use this. So traded from the Sharks. Yeah, he was traded from the Sharks back in 2021. Okay. I guess I missed that one. So Dylan Gambrell. Tyler Ennis is interesting too. He's also on the final year of his deal, 32 years old, so he's a little bit of an older guy. He's had some mitigating success with the Leafs, with the Oilers here and there. He could be a nice middle round draft pick to add to your lineup on the wing. I think there's definitely going to be suitors for him. And I don't know if they're going to trade Alex Formenton, but he's 22 years old, a guy they drafted, finishing up his entry-level deal. If they can't figure out how to re-sign him, that could get interesting. But Alex Formenton is a name to watch. I think those are the guys they should be focusing on keeping, saving cap space so you could re-sign an Alex Formenton, but what do I know, right? Now looking at some of the defensemen, you have Dylan Hetherington, Victor Mete, Josh Brown, and Eric Brandstrom. Now those two names, Victor Mete and Eric Brandstrom, are very interesting because you're looking at a spot here where there's two young guys, restricted free agents. Victor Mete, 23 years old, a former first-round pick of the Montreal Canadiens, a Quebec kid, right? And then they acquired Eric Brandstrom as part of the Mark Stone deal when they sent Mark Stone to the Vegas Golden Knights. So, again, another former first-round pick, and those guys are struggling in the lineup. So those are two guys definitely keep an eye on in Ottawa. I think those are guys that the Senators may end up trading because they aren't getting the development from them, but somebody else will. And that is something that maybe you don't want to hear necessarily as a Senators fan, but there's definitely reason to believe that could be there. Eric Brandstrom is on the top pairing right now, especially with Thomas Chabot out. He's playing with Zub on the top pair, and then Mete's on the third pair with Josh Brown. So, again, I think more likely than not, it'll be Victor Mete, Zach Sanford, Chris Tierney, and Tyler Ennis. I think those are the guys you can expect to be out for the Senators. And this is from Elliot Friedman. Teams around the league have expressed interest in Senators forward Zach Sanford. I think Sanford is definitely a name to watch. This is from Darren Drager. It has been reported that there's been a fair amount of scouting back and forth between Ottawa and the Minnesota Wild. The New York Rangers are also paying close attention to Ottawa. Oh, maybe they could try and fleece them again for Zibanejad. But all kidding aside, I think that is definitely something to look at in the sense that they are looking at specific teams. The Rangers, I think the Rangers could look at a guy like Victor Mete. They may even try and go after a guy like Chris Tierney just to add some center depth to their lineup. They'd probably like to add a winger, so maybe even Tyler Ennis. I could definitely see Tyler Ennis being a New York Ranger. Maybe they decide to bring back Nick Holden. He's been a member of the Senators here for a little while. Maybe they bring back Holden. I'm not really sure what they're planning on doing. But those are some names. And again, I mentioned that earlier in the video. I wouldn't be surprised if Bill Guerin's calling about Chris Tierney as a depth center, right? So there's definitely going to be some back and forth with a couple of teams. But I thought that was interesting that we have a couple of actual teams in particular to look at. So this is also from Elliot Friedman. In early January, Ottawa Senators asked the NHL about moving home games to the United States around the same time Winnipeg considered Saskatoon. So I don't know how much legitimacy, this is like an old report. This is something that I don't know if they're really considering. Again, I think they're starting to alleviate some of the restrictions in Canada. But I know that he mentions here Winnipeg almost went to Saskatoon, which is a little bit lighter on the policies. Here in the States, last week I was at work and I got a couple of emails because I bought tickets from the Flyers this season and I bought tickets from the Islanders. They were both saying, yep, we don't require masks anymore, and we're also not asking for your vaccine cards. So I think it's getting to the point where I think it's more just restrictions overall are being uplifted, but specifically for the NHL, I think they want to have maximum attendance for as many playoff games as they can. And you get the message out there now that you don't need to wear a mask for the playoff games. I think the NHL will generate a lot more revenue that way. And I think that's very important. I mean, Gary Bettman's even considered, threatening moving the NHL draft out of Montreal if they don't lift up some of their policies. It's just such a big event for the league that, again, it's extra revenue. So I think that's something that will definitely be a story to look at, but this is more likely not going to happen in terms of the Senators moving to the States. I think it's kind of out of the cards right now. So this was from Darren Drager. Now this is the biggest report. That's the thumbnail of the video because it is that big of a deal. So the Senators have inquired about Jakob Chychrun, but the asking price is astronomical. Now, this is the problem. So the problem is when you have a lot of assets, teams are going to look at your best assets, whatever they are, and they're going to want those, right? Well, the problem is the Senators have pretty good assets, right? You know, if you're looking at a Jacob CHYCHRUN trade, you're looking at Eric Brandstrom, you're looking at some of these guys like Alex Formatin, you're looking at some of these guys that they're trying to build the organization around. And even their first round pick here this past season, I forgot his name. I'll look it up real quick for you guys. But the Ottawa Senators draft pick that he had a weird name. I'll know it when I see it. Is it Tyler Boucher? Might have been Tyler Boucher. Ridley Gregg, Jacob Bernard Docker. They may look to grab some of those guys. I don't know if they're going to be too sold on that idea. Philip Gustafson could come up. I mean, we're talking about CHYCHRUN here, so that would be a big offer. And like I've mentioned in plenty of videos, CHYCHRUN sounds like a good fit for the Senators because A, he could play with Thomas Chabot, and B, there's no real control from CHYCHRUN's perspective in terms of he's not going to be able to say next season, all right, I don't want to be with the Senators anymore, bye-bye. They have him locked until 2025. They have a couple years of duration on Chabot's deal, and maybe they're able to convince him to stay based off of the team playing well in the next 3 years, right? You have Tim Stützle coming up. You have some of those defensemen I just mentioned. You have Thomas Chabot. You have a core getting built. Now you add a guy like Jacob CHYCHRUN. That could be pretty seismic here for the Senators and really speeding up the process of this rebuild. So, again, I just thought it was food for thought. I threw it on there. It's probably going to be a little bit deceiving when you guys watch the video, but listen, it is what it is, and it's something to look at because I do think there is a fit there. It's just, will Pierre Dorion have the capacity to actually make that trade? So we'll see. Guys, as always, thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you again next time.